Hey everybody, welcome back to yet another video. Today I wanted to talk about the patch notes. Not so much about the patch notes itself, but more about the reactions around it. And I think some people might be overreacting a little bit. And yeah, I just want to give you my take. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's start with the consensus in the other content creators' videos. Typically, people are somewhat disappointed, I would say, because of the length of the patch notes. People are somewhat disappointed that there are no numerical changes to the skills, so no buffs, no nerfs, apart from a very few sort of select nerfs which make total sense, right? The totem build and apparently something like temporal change and ruthless. Now Mathel, I think, had a pretty solid level, had a take on this where he basically debunked the whole ruthless. I think one of the things interesting about the ruthless changes, because there's a lot of them, right, is that it got a lot of criticism, but then nobody actually read the changes. So the criticism, a lot of these videos went like, oh, it's like a third of the changes is ruthless. Yeah, I'm not gonna read it. And then I was like, yeah, but if you would have read it, you would have seen that all of these are nerfs, ascendancy nerfs mainly, and it doesn't impact the game in any way. There's nobody who really put a lot of effort into all of these changes. It is just making ruthless more ruthless. So while a significant part of the patch notes was about ruthless, if you look at terms of effort, yeah, there's really nothing there. And there's no real correlation between, let's say, the length of certain parts of the patch notes and the effort that people put into it, apart from writing it. And you can't say, because a significant part of the patch notes is about ruthless, that is a bad thing. That logic doesn't really apply, I don't think. So that argument, I don't really agree too much with it. I have read most of the ruthless changes and it's whatever, right? You're not playing the mode. Yeah, you could argue they shouldn't make changes to ruthless at all, but hey, it's in the game. If you actually read the changes, it's mostly nerfs, things that don't impact you or I at all. So no real changes necessary and no real fuss necessary about that either. The second part that people were not too happy about is no numerical changes. I think it's more valid. I think it's more valid than the ruthless changes. People might want to see some nerfs, see some buffs, and Jungroan, for example, said that something like Spectral Throw, I guess it was by default 400% more effective than Cleave. I'm not entirely sure if that was the thing he said exactly, but he wanted to make the point that some skills are in the same archetype are infinitely better, or at least 4 times better than, you know, other skills. And yeah, that's probably true. But then again, how many skills are there, right? Like 150 by now or something. I don't think that can ever be balanced, first of all. And they can keep sort of swapping around these numbers, and you could argue they should, but I would argue the opposite and sort of consider the current state of the base game, which a lot of people are very happy with, myself included. The current base game is quite well balanced. There's no humongous outliers. The humongous outliers are nerfed, right? Vengeance, Cascade, and the totems, but apart from that, it's decently balanced. So what's likely going to end up happening is that the starter builds, they're still the same. They've been the same for a while, and that is true and completely fair criticism, but it's only a starter, right? This is not Diablo 4 where your starter is basically the entire league. This is, fortunately, Path of Exile, where your starter is just a starter. It's a means to an end, and yes, the first 2-3 days maybe of playing the league might be similar to what you've played before, although, let's be honest, that is completely up to you. It's not that there are just 2 or 3 starters, there are probably closer to like 50 decent starters, and unless you've played all of them, you know, I don't think you can really say that the meta hasn't changed. This is really only true for the absolute veterans that put thousands and thousands and thousands of hours into this game, the people that are super efficient at the game, and the people that, you know, they really have seen it all, and then playing a starter or your starter for the so manyth time. Yeah, I can see that's maybe a little bit annoying. On the other hand, people don't like it when their starter class gets changed. Now nothing gets changed, so you would imagine a lot of people are also happy about this. So if you enjoyed your starter this league or last league, you are going to enjoy your starter in a week's time, because nothing changes. There is something to be said about that as well. All in all, I really have the feeling that GGG has a decent grip on the balance of the game. It is quite well balanced in its current form, and they are probably thinking like, why would I change a winning team? Because right now it is a winning team in terms of numbers, I think in terms of balance, in terms of the meta as well. And I think what some people tend to forget is that while the league starter meta will not really shift, the actual meta will likely shift. Because we're getting a lot of stuff, right? We're getting 14 support champs, 15 uniques, a league mechanic with tattoos, which might be very impactful, and 2 new ascendancies. Some people have really been memeing about these ascendancies, and I get it. If you read through it, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But surely within these 4 sort of categories, right, the support gems, the uniques, the tattoos, and the ascendancies, plus the 655 other parameters that already exist within Path of Exile, right, whether it is the other uniques or other league mechanics, there is bound to be some new stuff in there that we have never seen before, and probably not just one build, but probably like 15 or 20 builds that nobody has seen before, that will do very well for whatever reason, whatever broken combination. This always happens. I see no reason why it wouldn't happen this league, and I'm looking forward to it. It's just going to take a week, maybe 2 weeks for people to figure it out, but people typically tend to play, right? Like the people watching this, you and I, the people actually playing the league. We're gonna be playing in 2 leagues after league start, and we're going to be excited to see what others might come up with and play those characters and play those builds. I'm excited for that at least, and I don't think there's really that much to worry about. And then of course also we have the new content. We got Sanctum back, which I think is super exciting. Sanctum was one of my favorite leagues of the last couple of leagues. And of course we're having a whole new Ancestors league mechanic, which is a gamble with the auto battler system. It might suck completely, it might be amazing, just like Sanctum could have sucked completely, but it turned out to be amazing. And yeah, I think there will be plenty to do. So I would take the criticism personally with a little bit of a grain of salt. I think that some people might be going a little bit too hard. Reading all the patch notes, I'm like, you know, there's not that much in there, and that's all completely fine. I think something like ExileCon definitely had to do with that. Maybe still the ongoing development of PoE 2, who knows. But it's not that there is a lack of content in the league. I think there's plenty of content, and especially if you compare it to other games that recently released seasons, you know, I think we should be a little bit realistic about all of this. So I'm looking forward to that. Then the last point on the agenda for me was my sort of personal highlights. I've already talked about Sanctum. I absolutely loved running Sanctum back in the Sanctum League. So that was roughly half a year ago. I thought that was amazing. The new league mechanic, I'm always looking forward to new league mechanic, even though they may not sort of seem to appeal to me too much. I think the new league mechanics are always interesting and sort of refreshing, and, you know, give you a different reason to play the game, try out different builds that work well with such a league mechanic. Especially here, I think it's very interesting that you can't die, as in you'll be reset in the actual arena. That probably opens up some really wacky builds that don't mind dying. I think Chris Wilson was even memeing about cast on death support. Who knows? It could be interesting, and I think you're gonna see some pretty funny clips of people intentionally dying, doing a shitload of damage, and winning the battles that way. That could be cool, and I'm looking forward to play in the Karui Afterlife, play the Auto Battler, just see what's going on. I think that would be interesting. There are 2 keystones that I'm personally really excited about. So these are the Atlas passive keystones that they have changed. The first one is the Endless Tide keystone. That is the one that changes Beyond. I think the main drawback of Beyond right now, at least for me, is that at some point it spawns a unique boss, and then after you spawn the unique boss there's no more Beyond monsters. That's a real shame, because you have just put Beyond on your map and now it's gone. Plus you need to fight this completely overtuned massive HP unique boss, which hardly drops anything decent. So that unique boss in Beyond is basically a punishment, and this keystone removes the unique boss and basically just gives you a bunch of regular Beyond monsters, which is good. That's more experience, that's more monsters to kill, that's more monster density. I like it. I think that could be an interesting note to take. And the other one that I am a huge fan of already is the Bold Undertaking keystone. This is the one that affects Fortune Favors the Brave, and I always take it because I also take the Atlas passive nodes that increase the pack size in maps like that, and I personally enjoy the variety. Sometimes you get a bit of Blight, sometimes you get a Legion, sometimes you get Essence, sometimes you get something super expensive like Harbinger or Delirium. I think it is quite cool, and this keystone takes it even one step further. It's not gonna pick one option at random, but 2. So you'll get 2 options at random for twice the price. And at first sight that might not seem like very good, but I think it is pretty good because just in a vacuum it's the same, right? 1 option for 3 chaos or 2 options for 6 chaos. But I am an SSF player. I am playing solo self-found, and especially the other items that you put in the map device, like scarabs or fragments, they are pretty rare. They can be pretty rare. And the same goes for example, maps. So if you already juice and roll your maps, which I do, and then I put a bunch of scarabs in there, I would rather then invest 6 chaos and have a sort of single time use of my scarabs and a single time use of my lenses, right? The cartography things that you put on the void stones. You know what I mean, right? I've lost the sextants. Those are all used once, but you do get 2 options from the bench. I think it will be worth it, and yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to. I have 2 honorable mentions. I think the keynote that changes the spirits, that they can no longer possess monsters but will possess you, that could be really fun. You can always have spirits in your map, so it can be a guaranteed thing. Who knows, it might be good, I don't know, it could be interesting. And last but not least, the overloaded circuit keystone. It states, and I have to read this, League map crafting options also allocate 3 random notable Atlas passives associated with that league at twice the cost of the map. So what this basically means, or at least I think this is what it means, if these notables only pick the ones that you haven't allocated yourself, and some of the league mechanics have like 7 or 8 notables that you can allocate, something like Blight or Essence, there are a lot of different notables on the Atlas passive tree that you can allocate. And what if out of the 7 you want them all, let's say, right? You want all 7 because that is what you're going for. With this specific keynote, you might be able to allocate only 4, and then the other 3 are automatically picked saving you a load of Atlas passive points, which you can then allocate somewhere else. And you could even pick it by default, because at least you will be running a league mechanic with three notables, which is pretty good, you would think. The cost might ramp up significantly. I mean, if you do this with Delirium, you'll pay 20 Chaos Orbs for a Delirium map. That might be pushing it a little bit. I really just hope it works with Fortune Favors the Brave, but I'm not sure it will. I'm gonna test that out for sure. But that's it, guys. I'm really looking forward to playing in a week's time. I will make another video soon about the league plans that I have. I have some bigger plans than usual, that's for sure. So yeah, feel free to stick around. Subscribe if you don't want to miss that video. And for now, I hope you enjoy your weekend. It's Friday night over here. I might hit the bar in a few hours. And yeah, then we'll just play some more, check out some starter guides, test out some characters. I am really looking forward to the league start in a week's time. Hope you are as well. Thanks for making it to the end. See you soon. Love you all. Bye bye.